2.7 is solving quadratic equations by factoring. We have been factoring already. We just haven't been solving anything. We've been given quadratic equations like x squared plus 8x plus 15. And we were finding the factors. So now we're going to have that equals 0. So if you were going to factor this right here, remember x squared is x times x. The 15 could be 1 times 15 or 3 times 5. They add to give you an 8, and they're going to be the same sign. This says that they add, and they're the same sign. Okay? Which two add to give you 8?
5 and 3.
5 and 3, and they're got to be positive to make a positive 8. So we have positive 5 and positive 3. Okay, that part you've already seen. But now we have the equal 0. That's just the only new thing thrown in. Okay, so you're going to set each factor equal to 0. Because 0 times anything is 0. So if this is equal to 0, 0 times this will be 0. If this, the second one were 0, the first one times 0 would also be 0. So we're going to set each factor equal to 0. X plus 5 equals 0, and x plus 3 equals 0. And to solve x plus 5, what do? We subtract 5, right?
Yeah.
I do have a class here. Come on. So we're going to subtract 5, and you have a negative 5. This one, what do? Minus 3. We'll subtract 3. We'll have x equals negative 3. So you have two answers. You have two things that could make this equal to 0. So if you actually plug these in, you'll find out that it does come out to 0. If you have x squared plus 8x plus 15, and we plug the negative 5 in, okay, you have negative 5 squared is 25, right? Plus 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. Okay? If you add the two positives, they come up to positive 40 and negative 40. See how that's 0? If we plug the negative 3 in, you'd have negative 3 squared plus 8 times negative 3 plus 15. Negative 3 squared is 9, right? Plus a negative, what's 8 times 3?
24.
24. And then plus 15. So you have positives add up to 15. I'm sorry, positives add up to 24, and the negative adds up to 24. We're not going to do that check every time though, okay? I just did that so you would see it. Okay, if we have a problem, let's say you had the problem 2x squared minus 9x equals 0. Now that's not where you make the two factors. What can you factor out of both of these? What do they have in common?
X.
An x. So if you factored x out, you would have the 2 and the x still, right? And the negative 9, but you don't need another x because you have one. So each one of those you set equal to 0. So you say x equals 0 and 2x minus 9 equals 0. This is already solved. X equals 0, you've already got the solution right there. This one, what do you do first?
Plus 9.
We add 9. So we have 2x left equals 0 plus 9 is 9.
Divided by 2.
Divided by 2. So you could say 9/2, or you could change it to a mixed number, which would be
4.5.
4.5, right? So your answers are 0 and 9/2, or you could say 0 and 4.5. Normally answers are still left like that. I don't know for sure why. Maybe it's easier to plug them back in, but the answers in the book are usually left improper. Okay, we have some graphs, and it will ask you, let me get graph paper real quick. Okay. If you have a graph of a quadratic equation, so that's something with the x squared on it, it will look like a scoop. And if you had a quadratic equation that graphed, let me have it where it goes through something perfect. Okay, so you're looking at this graph right here. Okay, the solutions, what we were finding here, see how we found x equals 0 and x equals something else? What would the x be when the y is 0 here? Because what this would be is like a quadratic equation. I don't know exactly, I just scribbled this, but say it was x squared minus x minus 6. Okay, when you set that equal to 0, it's like saying y equals x squared minus x minus 6. Okay, and what, maybe I should actually do the actual equation here. What it's telling you is when y is equal to 0, what is your x? Okay, on this one, I don't know what the equation would have been, but this one, the x would be a 6 and a negative 6. So just looking at the equation, all you do is pick where it's intercepting your y. Okay, if you had one that crossed at the 3 and the negative 4, that's the, yeah, the negative 4 and the 3 would be your solutions. Your x-intercepts would be where the solution to it would be, where it's 0. Okay, so all you would have to do is pick your x spots. Yeah. You want a lot of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those. Okay. Let's do one where we have numbers on both sides. Like say you have 7x squared equals 8x. Okay, we need it to equal 0. Okay, so first of all, we're going to subtract 8x. So we have 7x squared minus 8x equals 0. Can you factor anything out of that?
X.
The x is 7x minus 8. And that equals 0. So you're going to have two answers, the one for this and for that. You set x equal to 0. And 7x minus 8 equals 0. So how are we going to solve this one?
Add 8.
Add 8. So 7x equals 8. Then what are we going to do?
Divide it by 7.
Divide by 7. So we need to start over.